Welcome to Condition by Kia. One of the many ways to track your fitness progress is through tape measurements. And today I'm going to be showing you a few of my tips and tricks and just how I do measurements on myself and my clients to help you out so that way you can mark your progress over time and see the actual results from a better standpoint. So my top 3 tips that I tell my clients and that I actually do myself are going to be these. Number 1, make sure you measure the same time every month. So I recommend only once a month so that way it's not in your head so much when you do it every week, because you're going to see more progress in a monthly stance as opposed to a weekly stance. So choose your time of month, and if you're a lady, make sure that you are not measuring on the time of your period or that your time just before where you know you're going to be bloated. I would say a week before or a week after that, and make sure you do it on that same time every month. And that leads me to number 2. My top number 2 tip is to make sure that it's the same time of day. So if you did it in the morning, do it in the morning. If you're going to do it in the afternoon, do it in the afternoon, because your afternoon weight and your morning weight are going to be different based on your water weight and how much food you've eaten throughout the day. So if the month before you did it in the morning when you had no food to eat or no water to drink yet, and then you do a comparison to an afternoon time, it may be different just because of the water weight and the food weight. So that's number 2. Number 3 is going to be kind of a silly one, but it works. Either make sure you're wearing the same outfit of overclothes or just in underwear. So that way you get the same results, because some clothes tend to be thicker than other clothes. So if you're wearing like sweatpants compared to yoga pants, that'll make a difference in the numbers. But those are my top 3. So now I'm going to get into the tape measurements and how to get those body line measurements. Alright, so I usually like to start top down. So for many women, some don't like to do shoulders and chest, but sometimes it's a fun thing to do, because then you can see if you've lost any fat underneath, right here, underneath the arms, or if you've gained muscle in those shoulders that you've been wanting to gain. So for shoulders, I kind of wrap myself like a shawl, making sure that the 0 mark is there. Deep breath in, deep breath out. The mark after you take your deep breath out, that is going to be your number right there, because it exhales the oxygen out of your lungs, which makes it a more accurate read, because your lungs are going to protrude as well from the back. And then for the chest, you're going to want to line that up kind of mid-bra, and you're going to want to do the same method. You're going to take a deep breath in, deep breath out, and that is going to be your measurement right there, because you're lined up right in the center. For your stomach, some like to do a waist measurement, which will be like that easy dip right here where you would naturally put your hands in the skinniest dip. So you can do that one. So I like to mark that one as just waist. So you're going to get the 0, deep breath in, deep breath out. Same kind of method with your lungs, because your stomach goes in and out too. And then I also like to do my belly button, because this is where most women are going to be gaining, and even men are going to be gaining that fat pocket where most of us like to gain, which is this area. So I like to measure the belly button as well, because it also gives me a nice clear reading if I'm doing a good job on my workouts as well. Deep breath in, deep breath out, and you'll get that read right there. Next is going to be hips. Put your feet together for this one, because if your feet are out, your hips are going to be wider. If your feet are together, it's going to be the same. So if you're going to do feet out, make sure you do feet out every single time. But I like to do feet together. So you're going to go across the widest part of your hips. So only your eyes can truly measure that. So when you bring it out, make sure it's on the widest part, so that way over time you can see just how much it decreased. And that way you get the measurement. This one you don't really need a deep breath, just mark that number right there, and then you're going to look it up on the number. When it comes to your thigh measurement, there's 2 different ways you can do this. I have a foam roller here, so you can use a chair or foam roller as long as your knee is close to 90 degrees or at 90 degrees. That's where you're going to want. You're going to go with the widest part of your thigh, And you're just going to measure the widest part of your thigh coming up just like that. I find this to be the easiest way to read, so that way you can find the biggest area. If you don't want to do that method, you can put your arm down to your side. Where your fingertip touches on the longest finger, mark that right there, and then you're going to go around with your tape measure there. So sometimes it's easier just to leave it like that and then just kind of shimmy up to where you need to be. Which is why I like doing this method easier, so you don't have to do so much bending. It's a bit easier to read with your leg up. But you can still do it either way. That, or you can just choose the widest part of your inner thigh as well, because I know that's a big target for most people, so you can always just grab the widest area too. So technically 3 ways you can do the leg measurement. And it's always good to do both sides as well. If you're going to do calves, it's kind of the same thing. You're going to want that leg up to make it easier for yourself. And then you're just going to go around the widest part of your calf muscle. And make sure you're not squeezing super tight. So you just want that widest measurement right there. As for the biceps, this one is kind of a funny one to grab. You're just going to loop it over the widest part. And if you're going to give it a nice good flex, make sure you flex it every time. If you're not going to flex it, then don't leave it flex. But most people are going to want to see their flex point to see their muscle gain. So that's usually the point of the biceps measurement there. But those are my best tips and tricks for getting tape measurements on your progress status. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you got to learn a few new tips and tricks for your own measurements and progress. But as always, I hope you have an awesome and wonderfully blessed day. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe so you don't miss out on the next upcoming video, whether it's a workout or informational. But thanks for tuning in. Have a good one.